Here we got a ventilation fan motor controller. We got our own running light and then our emergency run, our start and stop. Here is a schematic for it, and we do have 3 push buttons. The stop, the start, the emergency run push button, and we also have a light. Notice how the light is in parallel with the actual main contactor. Now let's associate all of these components to all of that mess over there. So, for example, here I got my main contactor. I got cable 23 and 24. So I better have 23 and 24 on my main contactor coil. That's the main contactor coil, and I got right there 23. It's inverted, and that is 24. Now, this is my overload assembly. Look over here. I got 102, and that's the heater that I was telling you about. That's a sensor, and that is T3. 102 goes to T3. 102, it goes to T3. Now let's look at this, the other heater. 101, it goes to T1. So now here we got 101, and at the bottom we got T1, just as predicted. Now let's look at our overload heater, the actual switch. The switch across, it should have, well, to the sides 22 and 23. So we better find in this same assembly, well, there is 22, and here is 23. Now this particular overload heater also happens to have my stop and my start and my stop switches. So this is stop, start, and this is emergency run. So if I look at the diagram, basically I should have 3 and 21 for the stop switch, 21 and 22 for my start switch. So I will definitely find those numbers there. 3, 21, and 22. There is definitely 3 right there. I can see it right from the get-go. There is 21 there. And we already have found it 22 before. Now, notice that the light that is in parallel with the main contactor. So we had 23 and 24 at the contactor coil all the way there, but the lights, since it's in parallel, it needs to have those same numbers, 23, and then right there is 24. So that's how we know that this over here, now you know that those two are connected. This same connection is the same connection as this one, and you'll find 23 in 3 different spots. You will find it at the main coil, at the light, and then at the overload. Let's review that again. So that is the 23 for the contactor coil. This 23 is because of the light, and we got 23 here because it's going to the overload switch, just as predicted by the schematic. Now, they did not use the squiggly lines for the fuses. They used this other symbol, which is a valid symbol for a fuse. So fuses in this one's, well, to one side we got 24, and then to the other one, well, we got L2. So let's find this. So there it is. I'm just gonna get close to it. That's L2, and then to the bottom, notice how I got 24 of that fuse. The other fuse, it has 1 and L1. You can see clearly over there, and that's what we got over here. We got 1 and L1. Now these contacts over here, they are for some other interlocks. This controller does not use it, so it has it shorted. And that's what this jumper is. So that's 1 to 2 to 3 is shorted, and that is what we got right there. See how 1, 2, and 3 are shorted because if this controller needed to have an interlock with another fan, meaning like let's say an exhaust fan needed to be running for this one to be running, then one of those will go to one of the contacts for the running for the exhaust fan. Yeah. Summarize all the components of this motor controller. We got terminal board here, which is where we make connections, terminal board there. We got fuses to those 2 sizes, and then in the center we got our contactor coil. And then to the side, we got the contacts. We got our overload, which happens to have stop and the start switches built into it. And then we got our light. Press the button. So this is meant so that without you electrically touching anything, you are able to, when the door is closed, push those buttons over there. Now let's talk about the contacts over here. So you can see over there that we got a contact, and it is a normally open contact. T2 is at the bottom and B phase is at the top. And well, B phase happens to be L2 and T2 is at the other one. So I just show you this contact over here. Now, this one has some external interlocks. Let's look at 4 and 5, which also are part of the M contactor. So all of these contacts, they are controlled by this coil. So once again, and you can see there 4 and 5, and unfortunately because of the location, oh, there you go. That's the symbol over there for our normally open contact. So now here 21 and 22, looks like a normally open contact. Let's find those on the schematic. So that is the set of contacts that once you press start, it maintains the main coil energized, or rather the main coil, but when it energizes, it keeps itself alive no matter even if you let go of the push button for the start switch.